Fast forward, football on Campus Insiders Thursday, a very important day, the unofficial kickoff of spring ball. Texas, the first major program to start knocking shoulder pads. The Longhorns followed by some other notable programs such as Stanford, Cal, Northwestern, Boston College, Texas A&M, all getting underway within the next 2 weeks. Here to discuss the top storylines heading into spring ball, we bring in our managing editor, Pete Fiutak, and our analyst, Anthony Herron. Okay, Pete, let's start with you quickly. Your top three storylines heading into spring ball.
Biggest storyline of all spring ball this year has got to be USC. What are they going to do with this quarterback situation? Max Wittek, Max Browne, they're going to fight it out. Lane Kiffin, where is this attitude going to be for this program? Second to me, Zach Mettenberger. LSU's got a lot of talent returning, but Mettenberger's got to step up his game to another level to take LSU beyond Alabama and make this team his. The third thing I'm watching out for, Ohio State. It was all cute and fun last year in their redshirt season when it didn't matter. Now the spotlights are going to be on. They're going to be top three to start the season. How is this team going to react to all the pressure coming into the year?
And what's on your radar?
Well, for me, I actually went to a few different conferences, and one that's not even in a conference. I'm starting talking about Johnny Manziel in Texas A&M and whether or not he, coming off winning the Heisman as a freshman this historic season, can he keep his focus? Can he continue to improve his game beyond where he was this season? And then I'm moving on to Notre Dame, talking about their backfield. They've lost two great running backs that helped lead them to the national championship game last season. No more Sierra Wood, no more Theo Riddick. What can they do with some of these young, unproven players to help keep that balance on offense that the Irish have become accustomed to? And then I'm going over to Ann Arbor. What can Michigan now do on the offensive side of the football without Denard Robinson? We know that Brady Hoke and Al Borges, they wanted to shift to a pro-style offense, but Denard Robinson's skill set just didn't suit that. But now, with Devin Gardner under center, or even bringing in a true freshman like Shane Morris at quarterback who really suits what they want to do, who's going to really be the man for Michigan as a signal caller, and what will that offense really look like? Because I'm not sure that Devin Gardner is really a pro-style quarterback either. Remember, Rich Rodriguez was the one who recruited him, and for most of his career, he's been a wide receiver.
I want to see if they have a running back. You know, Fitzgerald Toussaint was not healthy at the end of last year. He struggled early on. They really relied on Denard Robinson early, Devin Gardner late, and the passing game. He's brought in the talent there. It always seems like Michigan's in a little bit of a rebuilding mode, and they are a little bit now too. They're going really young. Watch out, like you said, true freshmen are going to play a really, really big role on Michigan this year.
Speaking of true freshmen, Max Browne at USC. Let's get back to the quarterback discussion there at USC. You've got Browne, you've got Max Wittek, then you've got the Lane Kiffin storyline. 17-10 there at USC, lost in the Sun Bowl. I mean, how important is how he handles his quarterback situation going to be to the long-term success of Lane Kiffin?
It's everything. I mean, it's not just, they didn't just lose the Sun Bowl. They were a dog in the Sun Bowl, and that's the bigger problem is that they didn't even show up. And, yes, they've got to know if they've got the quarterback going forward who can carry this team. They've got the talent there. They still don't have the depth. That's the problem with the NCAA sanctions with USC over the last few years. They can't afford to suffer any major injuries, and they've got to build up the infrastructure of this program again. The starting 22 is going to still be as good as any in the Pac-12, but do they have those guys underneath in case something bad happens?
And then, Pete, you know about the unspoken part of the storyline as well, because you have to be in the discussion there out in California. And for USC, they're in danger right now of having UCLA surpass them as far as being the hot program in LA. And so if Jim Moore Jr. and his program with the recruiting class that they just brought in, if they can put together a great season again, beat USC on the field, now you're looking at the Trojans starting to get out of the discussion in the LA area.
And you mentioned, as we get back to Notre Dame in their backfield, no Theo Riddick, no Sierra Wood. Both those guys are gone now. But number 5, Mr. Everett Golson, he is back. How important is this spring for his development going into the fall?
It's huge because he's got to emerge not only as a more consistent passer, not only as having more control and trust in the offense behind his head coach, Brian Kelly, but he's got to emerge as a leader. There's some players on the offensive side of the football, Tyler Eifert now being gone at tight end, a few of the offensive linemen who were there as leaders, they're gone. And so now Everett Golson heading into his 3rd year in the program, being a sophomore, being a second-year starter, and now solidifying himself. There should be no discussion about Everett Golson ever leaving the game, ever coming out in certain situations. And so for him, he's got to solidify himself as a leader of that football team, and especially he's going to have some youth behind him at the tailback
That's a
position.
problem because you know what? Might not be the most talented quarterback on the roster. They've got other guys there waiting in the wings. And, Brian Kelly's always about, I'm going to play my best guy. And if Golson's not the best quarterback, there are other guys in camp who, if they light it up, they're going to be in the discussion. That could be a big offseason storyline.
And maybe on a national picture, the big picture, not a lot of expectations for Notre Dame like this year, but we all know those fans, now that they've gotten there to the promised land.
They're back. They're going back to the national championship
they
next
want to
year.
go back.
Never
Now
lose
they're in.
another
You
regular
can't do
season
anything
game.
less than that. All right, guys, exciting stuff to look forward to as spring ball begins as we prepare for the 2013 season. Well, which current coaches make up the Mount Rushmore of sideline signal callers? Be sure to check out the video right here on CampusInsiders.com.